Now, the last couple weeks, I've noticed somewhat of a trend in my channel. Just started talking about the Disney Cruise Line. I feel like I want to continue that trend just a little bit more today. And also, in true Disney Rod fashion, I'm here to talk about even more Disney food. Because honestly, if I don't talk about Disney food, am I really Disney Rod? Now, in our most recent adventure together, me and my family stepped on board the Disney Fantasy and set sail on our first ever Disney cruise. And our first ever cruise for that matter as well. Now, before we did step on board, I did see a lot of vlogs and a lot of videos, and I knew to expect a lot of the food. So I did set my standards pretty high. And I have to say, the food exceeded all of my expectations. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about the food that you can find on board the Disney Fantasy, just to break it down, talk about the things that you could find in it and what to expect, and my own personal opinions. Now, if you'd like more specific, detailed explanations about the dining, you can check out my video right about here, explaining everything that you need to know about the Disney Cruise Line before setting sail. Now, the first place that I would like to talk about is Flo's VA Cafe. Now, Flo's VA Cafe is kind of like the quick service place of the ship. It's a little window where you can go pick up some food, and they don't have, the fanciest things. You can find, sandwiches, chicken nuggets, pizza, all of that things. But it is really good. Now, I do have to be honest, I only ate two things here, chicken tenders and a grilled cheese sandwich. But I gotta say, both of the things really did surprise me. First off, the chicken tenders are the best chicken tenders I've ever had in my life. Honestly speaking, I don't know what they did with them, but it was just amazing. I mean, I had them multiple times on the ship and they were just out of this world good. And that grilled cheese sandwich, I got my grilled cheese sandwich, went into Cabanas, got a bowl of tomato soup. That's the lunch of champions right there. Great, amazing food. Now, honestly, that's about it. That's all I ate in Flo's V8 Cafe. I wish I tried more things, but honestly, I was happy with just those two things. Now let's move on to Cabanas. Now, Cabanas is the buffet on the ship, and it is a buffet for breakfast and for lunch. Now, it is open for dinner, but it becomes a sit-down restaurant, and in order to go there, you would have to sacrifice one of the main restaurants that you have in your rotation. I would honestly recommend going to your main restaurants and then going to Cabanas for breakfast and for lunch. But for breakfast and for lunch, Cabanas becomes the place to be. Trust me on what I'm telling you. Every morning I would eat breakfast at Cabanas, and that is the best way to start your day on board the Disney Fantasy. And the food that you can find there is simply spectacular as well. Trust me. I mean, for breakfast, they have like basic food items, hash browns, eggs, omelets, bacon, sausage, but all of it was just so amazing. Those hash browns are the best hash browns I've ever had in my life. It's just mind-blowingly good. And on top of that, they had banana pancakes. That alone is just heaven for me. I mean, I've said it a bunch of times. I love anything with banana in it. So you throw a banana in a pancake, you had me sold at ba. Now for lunch, I have to be honest, there were times where I didn't go to Cabanas for lunch. Don't get me wrong, the food is amazing, but sometimes I just really crave those chicken tenders, so I would go to Flo's V8 Cafe, get those chicken tenders, and just eat them while either looking out to the ocean or looking at funnel vision. But Cabanas for lunch is an amazing place. I mean, they have a huge, wide selection of food. You can find crab claws there. I'm not a huge fan of Jonah crab claws, but they were actually pretty good. They were the best ones I've ever had in my life. Now let's talk about the main table service restaurants on board the ship that are in your dining rotation. Now, if you remember from my video, there are 3 main dining locations on the ship, and you have a dining rotation where you rotate among the restaurants. Now, on the Fantasy, you have Royal Court, Animators Palette, and Enchanted Garden. Now, I'm gonna just break down the restaurants, give you some of my favorite food items from each restaurant, and also give you my ranking of the 3 restaurants. Now, in third place for me, I have Royal Court. Now, don't get me wrong, it's ranked last on my list, not because it's bad, but because I really like the other 2 better than Royal Court, both in atmosphere and in food. But Royal Court is an amazing restaurant. First off, stunning. It is beyond beautiful. I love like the little table signs that give you your table number. I don't know what they're called, but they're just so beautiful. Now let's break down some of the best food items that I had in Royal Court. Now, first one that I wanted to mention was the Grand Marnier Soufflé. Now, I've never had a soufflé before in my life. That was actually the first one ever, and honestly, I can't remember if I had one after, so basically the only soufflé I've ever had in my life was that one. And it was spectacular. I mean, that Grand Marnier sauce that came with the soufflé was just, it takes sauce to a next level, and all around amazing. Trust me, if you see it in the menu, get it. Another food item that I would like to mention is the prosciutto and aged parmesan that I had. Now, I'm not a huge fan of strong cheese, and that aged Parmesan was very strong. But you get it, you wrap the prosciutto around it, you eat it, it's fine dining. Trust me on what I'm telling you, it's amazing. And if you're a fan of like charcuterie boards and things like that, give it a shot. Now let's talk about the lobster tail that I had. That was one of the best lobster tails I've ever had in my life. The best one I've ever had is in Narcoossee's in the Grand Floridian. This comes in at second place. It was amazing, it was cooked perfectly, it was amazing. And that butter that comes with it, just simply spectacular. Now, last food item that I would like to mention for Royal Court is the chocolate lava cake. Now, this is gonna become kind of like a recurring theme as we go along in this video, because one thing that the Disney Cruise Line knows how to do and knows how to get right is chocolate cake. Every single chocolate cake that I had on board the Fantasy was just amazing. Now, this chocolate lava cake was just amazing. It was rich chocolate, it was super soft and warm. Oh my God. I mean, for me, anything with chocolate is a winner. So this was amazing. And all the chocolate cakes that I had on board were some of the best that I've ever had. Now, a restaurant that I have in second place is Animators Palette. And I feel like what pushed it above Royal Court, honestly, is Pirate Night, because the atmosphere in Pirate Night was just amazing. They had pictures all over the screens of concept art for Pirates of the Caribbean, for some of the movies. It was beautiful. And also, some of the food items that I had in Animators Palette were simply spectacular. Let's go into those now. First one that I would like to mention is jamón serrano and queso manchego. Now, jamón serrano and queso manchego, both are Spanish dishes. Jamón serrano is a Spanish cured meat, and queso manchego is goat cheese from Spain. Both are amazing, and my dad is Spanish, so that's a rite of passage that you need to pass in order to be considered a Spaniard. You know, you gotta like both of those things. Now me, I've always liked jamón serrano, but the queso manchego, it's a bit strong for my liking, but I have been liking it more and more as I've tried it. And this queso manchego from Animators Palette was some of the best, if not the best queso manchego I've ever had in my life. Then you get it, wrap it around the jamón serrano, just amazing. Trust me, if you are a fan of charcuterie and cheeses, get this. You will not regret it. It is amazing. Now let's talk about the grilled tuna steak and the tuna sashimi that I had. I am a huge fan of tuna. Tuna is my second favorite fish, right under salmon. And I have to say, this tuna that I had in Animators Palette was amazing. Both of them were super fresh. They were prepared amazingly. They tasted spectacular. If I had to pick one over the other, I would probably pick the tuna sashimi. But keep in mind, tuna sashimi is raw tuna. So if you're not a fan of eating raw fish, go for the grilled tuna steak. But regardless of the one that you get, you're gonna love it. Now let's talk about bananas in paradise. Just look at my face reaction right here when I tried it. Check it out. Now look at it. Now you're gonna see why. Look at that. It's like a chocolate carrot cake type thing with bananas in it. And I am a huge fan of everything that I just said right now. So just put them into one. It was amazing. I mean, like I said before, me and bananas was like a match made in heaven. So everything with bananas is amazing. I'm gonna mention more banana things later on in this video, so just remember that. This was spectacular, and trust me on what I'm telling you, give it a shot. Now, these next two food items that I'm gonna mention, I had them during the Pirate Night dinner, so you could actually find them at all three restaurants because all three share the same menu during Pirate Night. First one that I wanted to mention was a crab cake with a Cajun remoulade sauce. Now, the crab cake tasted like crab. It was a pretty good crab cake, not the best that I've ever had, but it was actually pretty good. But matched with that Cajun remoulade sauce, elevates it to a whole nother level, and it is amazing. It was like a spicy mayo with Cajun spices in there. Amazing. The second item that I wanted to mention was a chilled mango soup. Yes, mango and soup. It sounded so weird when I read it in the menu that I just had to get it. Now, I wasn't expecting to like it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna give it a shot because it's the weirdest sounding food item I've ever seen in my life. It was actually really good. It's surprisingly good. I mean, you tasted the mango. There was like a hint of ginger in there. It was surprisingly good, and it actually caught me by surprise. Now, sadly, I do have a dishonorable mention in this list. It's the lobster bisque. Now, I am a huge fan of lobster bisque. It is my favorite soup. One that I had in Animators Palette was weird. It did not taste anything like lobster bisque. It had a weird aftertaste, a weird taste in general. It was really bad, and I highly suggest steering clear of that food item. I mean, even my server said I would never recommend this lobster bisque because it's not that good. I was just like, why didn't you tell me before? Now, number 1, I have Enchanted Garden. Now, Enchanted Garden, in my opinion, was the most beautiful restaurant and had some of the best food on board the ship. I mean, you first walk in and then you have that fountain in the middle with Mickey. And then you have like these flower lights in the roof that open up as the day goes on. You start off at day and then it kind of slowly progresses into night. It is beautiful, and like the transition happens super smoothly over time. And then when it becomes night, that's when the flower lights open. It's such a beautiful transition, and it's just amazing and spectacular. One of the most beautiful restaurants I've ever been to in my life. Now, the first food item that I need to mention, because it is the best food item that there is on board the ship, and it is one of the best things I've ever had in my life, is the ahi, tuna, and avocado tower. Now, you're gonna hear a lot of people talking wonders about this. I mean, I heard it from Michael K. Like, he was the first person I saw, and he was dying over it. So when I saw it on the menu, I'm like, yes, this is what Michael had. And I got it, and I saw why Michael was dying. It was spectacular. I mean, literally, I couldn't find the words in the beginning to describe it. All I did was, it is such an amazing food item. The ahi tuna is filled with flavor, paired beautifully with that avocado. It's just amazing. And trust me when I'm telling you, when you first see it, order 20 because you are going to love it. And I kind of feel bad for the next food item because, I mean, you cannot follow the ahi tuna and avocado tower because you go from like the best thing to I'm sorry, you just... I feel bad for the Enchanted Garden platter. Now, don't get me wrong, the Enchanted Garden platter is amazing, but it followed the ahi tuna and avocado tower, and I just feel bad for it. Now, the Enchanted Garden platter was a charcuterie board that there was, and it was actually really, really, really good. The salami that's found on that platter is just simply amazing. Everything, all the meats that there were there, amazing. Give it a try, especially if you're into charcuterie boards. It's spectacular. Now, the next 3 food items that I want to mention are all desserts. Now, me, I'm a huge dessert person. I have a really big sweet tooth, so the desserts were a big part of my dining experience, and they didn't let me down. Now, first one that I wanted to mention was the chocolate garden torte. Another chocolate cake. Trust me when I'm telling you, Disney Cruise Line knows how to do chocolate cake. Get it because it is spectacular. Any chocolate thing, just get it. Trust me. I also want to talk about the tiramisu. Now, tiramisu wasn't the best tiramisu I've ever had, but it just looks so cool and weird, and it tastes pretty good that I just had to include it. Just check this out. Just look at it. Like when I first got it, I'm like, this is not a tiramisu. What is this? But I tried it. It tastes exactly like a tiramisu. It was amazing. I would suggest giving it a try just to see it. Now, last one that I wanted to mention was potentially the best dessert that I had on board the cruise. It was the white chocolate bread pudding. I didn't order it. It was actually my sister and my dad that ordered it. I tried it off my sister. She volunteered. So I'm like, you know what? Hey, you volunteer? Sure. I gave it a try. I mean, I instantly regretted ordering the tiramisu because that was just amazing. Not that strong of a white chocolate taste, more of a bread pudding taste. I'm a huge fan of bread pudding, and then with that white chocolate in there, spectacular. Trust me, if you like white chocolate and you like bread pudding, you are going to love this. Now let's move on to the adult-only dining. Now, me and my family, excluding my brother, sorry Ale, but don't worry, in 3 years you'll be able to eat there. We all ate at Paulo Brunch. Now, Paulo Brunch is considered one of the best dining experiences that you're ever gonna have. And when I went, I saw why. The food quality, the service, the atmosphere, everything about Paulo was just simply spectacular. I mean, the first experience that I had, right? We walked in there, we sat down. Our server came and changed the napkins of my sister, my mom, and my dad in order for the napkin color to match their clothes. All right, that is just mind-blowing service. And I'm like, this is super fancy. Why am I here? I'm not the fanciest person there is in the world. And then you kind of throw me in there and I'm like, what's going on? But seriously speaking, it is worth it. Now, Paulo Brunch and Paolo Dinner are both $40 per person. It's not included with the price of the cruise, but it is worth it. Trust me on what I'm telling you, that Paulo Brunch is spectacular. A lot of people are going to recommend getting the chicken parmesan. I am a huge chicken parmesan fan. But I'm gonna tell you this, the lasagna as the entree is a far better choice than the chicken parmesan. That lasagna was easily the best single piece of pasta I've ever had in my life. It is simply spectacular, and regardless of which one you get, you're not gonna regret it, but I would choose the lasagna over the chicken parmesan. Now let's move on to the actual buffet section of Paulo Brunch. Everything about that buffet is simply spectacular. Your server takes you on like a tour around the buffet, telling you the different things. The guy was just listing all these things. I'm like, oh my god. Now I have to single out one thing from the entire buffet that, you know, really stood out, was the crab legs. The crab legs that I had in Paulo are the best crab legs I've ever had in my life. And the best thing about it is you don't have to worry about cracking them. They actually cut the crab leg in half. So you have the meat just there and you just get your fork, pull it out. It was so good, full of flavor, amazingly prepared. It was the best crab leg I've ever had in my life. Trust me when I'm telling you. If you go to Paulo Brunch, try it. Now, of course, everything about it. I mean, the scallops were the best scallops I've ever had. They have prosciutto and melon. Weird combination, but works so amazingly well. Everything about that buffet was just spectacular. And trust me when I'm telling you, it is completely worth it. Now, I didn't go to Paolo Dinner. It is the same price as Paulo Brunch, and it is easier to find a reservation for Paolo Dinner than for Paulo Brunch. But I have heard some people say that dinner is not necessarily worth it. There are a lot of mixed reviews about it. I would like to give it a try eventually, but I have heard a lot of people say that brunch is a far better dining experience than dinner, and to always try to get brunch first. Now, the other adult-only restaurant that there is on board the Disney Fantasy and the Disney Dream is Remy. Remy is a French restaurant, and it's right next to Paulo. I didn't try it out. It is a bit on the expensive side. I mean, dinner there is $125 per person. It is very expensive, but I have heard wonders about it. I've heard people say it is the best restaurant they've gone to. I've heard people say it's better than Paulo. I would love to give it a try one day. Now, it is on the expensive side. They also have a brunch. They have like a champagne brunch that's $75. They have like a dessert experience, which is $60. They also have a wine tasting experience, which is $50. They have many different experiences in Remy. Now, I would like to give dinner a shot, eventually, at least once in the future. Now let's move on to the final category of food that I want to talk about. Yes, you could label this like miscellaneous. I mean, it's not technically a restaurant, it's just things that you could find. I don't know what else to label it. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was coffee at Cove Cafe. Now, yes, I did mention Cove Cafe many times in the past couple of videos, because Cove Cafe deserves to be mentioned that much. It is an amazing, awesome lounge found in the adult-only section of the pool deck. It is beautiful. It is amazing. The coffee there is on a whole nother level of coffee. I'm not a huge fan of the taste of coffee, but this was amazing. This was espresso. It had 2 shots of espresso in there. You barely taste the coffee. The flavoring is spectacular. Give it a try. I mean, even my dad doesn't like coffee at all either. I mean, he never drinks coffee. And he had 2 cups of coffee in Cove Cafe on our cruise. Now, I also like to mention like the pastry selection that you can find at Cove Cafe and at Vista Cafe in Deck 4 in the atrium. Now, both do give you the same exact pastry selection. There are Rice Krispie treats, there are like croissants, different little tiny pastries to pick at. Now, those pastries are included in the price of your cruise, unlike the coffee from Cove Cafe, which is an additional cost. And they are actually really good. I had a bunch of Rice Krispie treats. They were amazing, and I would highly suggest just giving them a shot. Now let's talk about ice cream. Now, ice cream is a little area where you get soft serve in the pool deck area. And I have to say, I ate some unhealthy levels of soft serve during my cruise. Now, the one flavor of soft serve that I need to mention is banana soft serve. That banana soft serve is so good. If you've ever had banana Laffy Taffy, picture that in ice cream form on a cone. It is an incredibly tasty soft serve, and I had like a million of them, and I recommend you do that too. It's included in the price of your cruise, so just go at it. I would also like to talk about the banana and dulce de leche ice cream that I had at Sweet on You. Now, Sweet on You is like the premier ice cream place on board the Fantasy, and it is not included in the price of your cruise, so you would have to pay an additional cost. But trust me on what I'm telling you, it is completely worth it. The ice cream there is amazing. That banana dulce de leche ice cream is one of the best tasting ice creams I've ever had in my life. Now, I'm gonna mention one more thing in terms of dining on board the Disney Fantasy and also on board all the other ships. Now this might be a fairly unpopular opinion, but I did eat at one of the restaurants, the restaurant right next to Serenity Bay at Castaway Cay. The food there was okay, the food quality was okay, and I mean, I think you're there mainly for the experience. You know, you're dining on Disney's private island at the beach. But I could tell you this, the food quality that you can find on board the ship, whether it's in Flo's VA Cafe or Cabanas for lunch, is far better than the food that you're gonna find at those restaurants. Now, this is a very unpopular opinion. Now, a lot of people are gonna tell you, give it a try, the food there is amazing. And I'm not saying anything bad about the food, but in my personal opinion, and in my personal experience, the food quality on board the ship is better than the food that you're gonna find at Castaway Cay. Let me know in the comments below what you think about dining on board the Disney Fantasy or on any other ship. I would love to hear from you. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, smash that like button and hit subscribe. I upload a brand new video every Wednesday. Thank you for being part of the Disney family, and see you real soon.